Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Virgo, and I hope you're doing well. So, Virgo, you're about to experience something simultaneously strange and perfect. Two timelines converging, a new beginning arriving at the exact moment an old ending resurfaces. Someone genuinely good, genuinely kind, genuinely healthy is entering your life, the kind of person who restores your faith that decent humans still exist. And simultaneously, like the universe testing whether you've learned your lessons, someone from your past is preparing to reach out to remind you of what you used to tolerate, to show you how far you've come by offering you exactly what you no longer need. This isn't coincidence. This is divine timing at its most deliberate. New opportunity arriving while old karma clears. The right person showing up while the wrong person makes one last appearance, so you can choose differently this time, so you can prove to yourself and to the universe that you've actually transformed, that you won't sabotage the good thing by running back to the familiar dysfunction. So let's explore this. Who this very nice person is, what makes them different from what you're used to, who's messaging from the past, and how to navigate having both timelines active simultaneously without letting the past contaminate the future. Take what resonates here, Virgo. This is about choice points and new chapters. You remain in control of your decisions, always. This is simply an invitation to recognize the test and pass it this time. Let me start with the very nice person who's coming. Because Virgo, you need to understand what very nice actually means in this context. It doesn't mean boring. It doesn't mean lacking chemistry. It means healthy. It means someone who communicates clearly instead of making you guess. Someone who shows up consistently instead of creating anxiety through unpredictability. Someone who treats you well, not just in the beginning, but continuously. Someone whose kindness isn't a manipulation tactic, but their actual character. And this might feel unfamiliar to you because your pattern has been choosing complicated people, people who need fixing, people whose chaos makes you feel needed, people whose inconsistency keeps you hooked through intermittent reinforcement, people who give you just enough pain mixed with pleasure that you stay addicted to the emotional roller coaster. You've confused intensity with depth, drama with passion, difficulty with worthiness. So when this very nice person arrives and they're just stable, when they do what they say they'll do, when they're available and clear and kind, your first instinct might be to find them boring, to miss the chaos, to wonder why you're not feeling that anxious, obsessive energy you've mistaken for love. And that's the test, whether you can recognize healthy as valuable, even though it doesn't activate your trauma patterns. Now, let me describe who this person might actually be, because the energy is showing specific patterns. For some of you, this is someone new you're about to meet through work, through friends, through completely random circumstances that feel orchestrated. You'll meet them and something will feel different. Not fireworks necessarily, but ease, comfort, a sense of, oh, I can breathe around this person, a feeling of being seen without having to perform or prove or perfect yourself first. For others, this is someone already in your orbit who you haven't been paying attention to because they weren't creating drama because they were just being consistently kind and available, and you overlooked them for more exciting options. But you're going to see them differently soon. You're going to notice qualities you were too distracted to appreciate before. And you're going to wonder how you missed someone this good being right there all along. For some, this might even be a friend transitioning into something more. Someone who's been there, who knows you, who's seen you at your worst and stayed anyway. And the dynamic is shifting from platonic to romantic. Not through dramatic confession, but through gradual recognition that what you have with this person is actually what you've been searching for in all the wrong places. What they all have in common: they're emotionally available, they're genuinely interested in you as a person, not as a project or a conquest. They have their life together enough that they're not looking for you to fix them or complete them, but to complement them. And they're capable of the kind of calm, steady love that lasts instead of the explosive intensity that burns out. Um, uh, Let me slow down here because I need to talk about the message from the past and why it's arriving at exactly the same moment as this very nice person. Someone from your past is reaching out, an ex, a person who hurt you, someone you finally moved on from or thought you moved on from. And their timing is impeccable in the worst way. Just as you're opening to something healthy, they're sliding back into your awareness with apologies, with regrets, with promises that they've changed, with nostalgia designed to make you forget why you left or why you stayed gone. And here's what you need to understand about this timing, Virgo. This is the universe's final exam. Have you actually learned? Have you actually healed? Or will you abandon the healthy option for the familiar dysfunction the moment it comes knocking with pretty words? Will you recognize that their timing isn't romantic, it's predatory? That they're not reaching out because they suddenly see your value, but because they sensed you moving forward and they want to pull you back? This person from the past represents your old patterns, your comfort zone, your trauma bond, and the very nice person represents your growth, your healing, the life you could have if you chose differently this time. And you can't have both. You have to choose. And your choice will determine whether you repeat the cycle or break it. Drop a comment, Virgo, if you already sense who the message from the past might be from. If there's someone you've been getting the feeling might reach out. If you've been sensing their energy hovering even though you haven't heard from them directly. Because I think many of you know. You've felt them circling. You've had the thought they're going to contact me soon without knowing why you're thinking that. Trust that instinct because you're right. You know what else I'm sensing? Timing. The very nice person is showing up first, within days or weeks. And the message from the past follows shortly after. Close enough in timing that you'll be navigating both simultaneously. Close enough that you'll be forced to make a conscious choice instead of just drifting into old patterns because nothing better was available. And that's the gift in this challenging timing. You're not choosing between the past and emptiness. You're choosing between the past and something genuinely better, which makes the right choice clearer, which makes it harder to lie to yourself about why you might be tempted to go backwards. Let's sit with this for a moment. What if the very nice person is everything you've been asking for, but you're too scared to receive it? What if healthy feels boring because you're addicted to chaos? What if you've been praying for someone stable and kind, but when they arrive, you can't recognize them as valuable because they're not triggering your abandonment wounds? What if the lesson here is learning to choose what's good for you instead of what's familiar? And what if the message from the past is your last chance to prove you've changed? What if the universe is giving this person one more opportunity to appear in your life specifically so you can say no, so you can demonstrate growth, so you can close that door with finality instead of leaving it cracked open? What if their reach out isn't temptation but graduation, the final test before you move into the next chapter? Let me offer you practical guidance about navigating this situation. First, when the very nice person appears, don't dismiss them for not creating chaos. Notice if you're comparing the calm they bring to the intensity you're used to and finding them lacking. That comparison is your trauma talking. Healthy isn't supposed to feel like a roller coaster. It's supposed to feel like coming home. Give the nice person a real chance. Be curious instead of dismissive. See if you can develop attraction to stability instead of just to volatility. Second, when the message from the past arrives, don't respond immediately. Sit with it. Remember why things ended. Um, Read old journal entries if you have them. Talk to friends who witnessed what you went through. Don't let nostalgia rewrite history. Don't let their current loneliness or regret override your memory of how they actually treated you when they had access to you. Third, compare not just words but patterns. The person from the past will say beautiful things, but what was their pattern of behavior? The very nice person might be less poetic, but what's their pattern? Do they follow through? Do they show up? Do they treat you consistently well? Judge people by patterns, not by words. Words are easy, patterns reveal character. Fourth, notice which option scares you more. If the very nice person scares you because they could actually work out, because they require you to be vulnerable in new ways, because healthy relationship demands different skills than surviving dysfunction, that fear is information. It's telling you this is the growth edge. The past feels safer because you know that pain. The future feels dangerous because it's unknown. But safe doesn't mean good. And dangerous doesn't mean bad. Sometimes growth requires choosing the scary, healthy thing over the comfortable, toxic thing. Fifth, make a conscious choice. Don't just drift. Don't keep both options open while you decide. Choose choose the very nice person or choose yourself alone. But don't choose the past just because it's familiar. Don't choose dysfunction just because healing feels too vulnerable. Make a choice that reflects who you're becoming, not who you've been. Let me ask you one final question, Virgo. What would it mean to actually choose the very nice person? Not just to date them, but to fully invest in something healthy. What parts of yourself would have to change? What comfort zones would you have to leave? What stories about yourself would you have to release? What vulnerability would be required? Because I think that's what's actually scary about this. Not the nice person themselves, but what choosing them represents. Growth, change, leaving behind the familiar identity of someone who struggles in love, becoming someone who's actually in a healthy relationship, releasing the drama that's been your normal. And that's terrifying even when it's what you say you want. Here's what you need to know, Virgo. The very nice person is a gift, a genuine, rare, valuable gift. Someone who will treat you well, who will be consistent and kind and available, who will make relationship feel like partnership instead of warfare, who will show you what you've been missing by accepting less for so long. And the message from the past is a test, a final opportunity to prove you've learned, to demonstrate that you value yourself enough now to not go backwards, to show that you can recognize manipulation for what it is instead of hearing it as love, to pass the exam and move forward instead of failing it and repeating the grade. The choice is yours. It's always been yours. But this time, the choice is clearer because you have both options visible simultaneously. You can't pretend you're going back to the past because nothing better is available. Something better is right there. You're just choosing not to choose it if you choose backwards. Take what resonates from this reading, Virgo. Leave what doesn't. And remember that you remain in control of who you let in, of who you keep out, of whether you repeat patterns or create new ones. A very nice person is coming to your life, someone worth your time and energy and vulnerability. And a message from the past is also coming, someone who represents old patterns and old pain, and you get to choose which timeline you invest in, which future you create, which version of yourself you become. Trust your inner knowing, Virgo. Trust that you deserve the very nice person. Trust that healthy can be exciting once you give it a real chance. Trust that the past is past for a reason. Trust that you're strong enough to choose growth even when it's scary. Trust that you've learned enough to pass this test. Thank you for being here, Virgo. Thank you for your willingness to grow. Thank you for being someone who can receive healthy love even though it requires becoming someone new. You're exactly where you need to be, at the choice point between past and future, between familiar and healthy, about to demonstrate whether you've actually transformed or whether you're still running old programs. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, Virgo. Choose wisely, choose growth. And when the very nice person arrives, let them in. They're worth it.